Matthew sir, can we start the session?
Yeah, I think we get started. Okay.
Okay, sir. A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of Department of Civil Engineering, College of Engineering, Kidangur, I welcome you to the 5th day of our faculty development program. I welcome Professor Jitty Rose Eugene to introduce our expert to all of us, all of the participants. Professor Jitty.
Thank you, Bindya Madam. Good morning, all. Respected Head of Department, Dr. B.V. Matthews, sir, expert for the session, Nishad S., dear colleagues and dear participants. A warm welcome to one and all for the 12th session of Faculty Development Program, Modern Trends in Civil Engineering and Construction Industry. It's with great pleasure I am here to introduce the eminent expert, Engineer Nishad S., the Director of SenseImage Technologies Private Limited, Chennai. Mr. Nishad S. is an entrepreneur having rich experience in geoinformation technology, especially in drone surveying and mapping, photogrammetry GIS, and remote sensing. SenseImage Technologies specializes in the integration of advanced UAV with the high-performance GIS analysis and visualization tools to produce rich client-specific data sets, high-quality imagery, terrain feature models, and geo-referenced asset inspection and facility management information. He has extensive experience in new venture startup, big account management process study and analysis, initial user need assessment, etc. He is also involved in commercial R&Ds in collaboration with academic institutions and research organizations. On behalf of Civil Engineering Department of College of Engineering, Kidangur, and all the participants present here, and my own behalf, I welcome you, sir, for taking session on drones and its application in civil infrastructure project. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the warm introduction and also the opportunity as given. So let me share my screen. So please let me know whether my presentation is in a presentation mode.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the College of Engineering, Kidangur, and Department of Civil Engineering, and the head of the department who have been coordinating with me, and the opportunity given to deliver the industry-oriented updates, or that it's kind of a knowledge share, what the industry is doing, kind of thing for this faculty development program. So today we will be going to see how the drones and it's the emerging industry helping the civil infrastructure projects and mapping projects, and also I will touch upon some other vertical because the drone is an industry. This is not only for civil perspective. Anybody can learn and they can work in the drone sector, apart from aeronautical engineers or application engineers. Anyway, any discipline people can involve such kind of technologies and learn, and they can perform in their own applications. So by going through the SenseImage Technologies, working in a three, what are the verticals we are working can be classified in a three sectors. One is the GNSS and positioning, where we do navigation, indoor positioning, surveying, as most of the civil engineers well aware of the surveying. Then earth observation. We also work with satellite remote sensing, aerial mapping using the manned aircraft. We use choppers where we keep sensors to map the terrain if it is a larger area and all. And also we are using drones and UAV, which is the topic of session today, and fast emerging technology in India. And the third vertical, we work with advanced sensors. So initially, SenseImage started with working with the RGB sensor. A sensor is a passive sensor, we used to call it, and generally it works with the sunlight. Then we move on to active sensors called LiDAR. So LiDAR and laser scanning, and even now we looking forward to work with radar sensor and all. So during this presentation, if anything not clear or I'm not audible or any doubt you have, you please free to stop me at any point of time, so that I am happy to clarify, so that we can run this session as an interactive session, so that mutually we can discuss on the technology side and how the technology is evolving, where is the application, all those things. So that will give me more attention that yes, audience are very keen on asking the question. So I am also happy to share my knowledge. So feel free to stop me at any point of time, so that the session will be very interactive. So to start with, I will categorize this presentation and 3-4 things. One is let us see what is the drone and what are the categories of drone available, and how the government of India classifying the drones, and if anybody want to fly the drones in India, what is the procedure need to be followed. These are the basic things anybody want to pursue in the career in the drone industry, or they want to teach the students the drones. They need to teach first this one, because the regulations and safety operation is top priority for government of India. So I will start with this introduction and the different classification and how the government of India classifies the drone and what is the formalities we need to follow if we operate the drone in India. That will be the first session. First title under I will talk. So what is a drone? Drones are nothing but very formally we used to call it as a UAV, that's unmanned aerial vehicle, or some people used to calling as an unmanned aircraft system. As per the government of India, they are calling as RPAS, remotely operated pilot aircraft or system. So there are various names are given for the drones. You must be knowing or seen a lot of drones flying in marriage functions, and for the hobbies, they are taking the drones whenever they go for a vacation. But those drones are photography drones. Here, what we are going to discuss is a totally industrial grade and engineering grade drones and their applications. So drones means immediately people will think, yeah, we have seen and the marriage function and all. In fact, as per the government of India policy, such kind of drones usage is totally banned. So most of the people are not aware, and they are operating the drones wherever they want. That should not happen. We need to create the awareness as an industry sector, and we are using for a scientific reason. So we need to be very careful, and we need to create the awareness on the drone. Because recent incident, everybody knows in Jammu what has happened. So the small incidents is enough to kill the industry people to using this complementing technology for their day-to-day applications, and bringing the nation in the advanced technology sector. So that as engineers, we need to take care of and spread this awareness. So essentially, a drone is flying a robot that can be remotely controlled or operated autonomously through dedicated ground control softwares. So any drone will come with the ground control softwares, where you can control the drone manually or automatically. So the ground control station is the heart of the entire operation. It controls the drone operation. And the drone operation in India right now allowed is a line of sight operation. It means always the drone should be in your line of sight when it is flying. You cannot operate the drone out of your line of sight. So this controls how the flight should fly, where it should fly, what is the flight plan. So there are a lot of embedded systems in the flight controller. And also this flight controller or the base station is having a communication with the onboard drone during the flight with some embedded GPS and some other sensors. So at any given time, we may be controlling the drone from the station, where it is flying, what is the wind speed, how it is flying, what is the battery level, what the safety. Most of the hobby drones won't have such kind of facilities. If heavy wind comes, either drone will fall down or drone will try to come back or the battery will complete, then it will fall down somewhere where it is flying. But industrial grade drones are not like that. It will always have a watch on the safety features. So when it feels, the sensor feels the safety is not up to the mark, immediately it will return to the home and land, whether you call or don't call. So there are a lot of safety aspects in the industrial grade drones that is allowed with the permission of DGCA. There is a regulation board is there, and separate drone vertical is started by the Department of Civil Aviation. So they are scrutinizing all the specifications, and then only the drone can be allowed to fly in air. So this is very serious business. At the same time, scientifically, it is giving a very good information for, especially for the engineers. Now coming to different types of drones. What are the different types of drones available as such in the market right now? One is the multi-rotors. It comes with octocopter, hexacopter, or quad, having a 4 fans, 4 wings. So multi-rotors are the one which generally operates as a helicopter. I can give a comparison of a helicopter, like that it operates. The fixed wing drones are the one, it operates like an aircraft. There are 2 types of fixed wing drones. One is a fixed wing hybrid VTOL, vertical takeoff landing drones. It will take off and land like a helicopter and fly like an aircraft. Then single rotor helicopters also available. So these are the 4 different types of drones available right now in the market, and how these drones can be classified by the DGCA. Before going to that, I will show a small video where you can see how these multi-rotor and fixed wings work. This is the multi-rotor operation. Hope my video is visible. If something is not visible, kindly let me know and you can stop me.
Okay.
Visible, sir. Everything is visible.
So you can see the drone carries oblique sensor. This is a purely engineering grade sensor. In a single pass, it will create any construction activities is happening or any urban. It creates LOD up to LOD 2, level of details 2. It means all textured as it is, the building structures can be mapped using such kind of drones. In the right side, now you can see another video. It is a fixed wing drone. Generally, it operates like a aircraft. For the large scale mapping, such kind of drones are very much useful. Say example, in a day you need to cover 10 square kilometer of area of survey, then the fixed wing drones are more suitable. And the operation is very simple. One man is enough. So that myself flying and showing a demonstration to a lot of engineers. So it will work like a aircraft. Just leave the drone once the propeller is on, then it will go and it will do the mapping as per the predefined flight plan which is uploaded to the drone. So now we have seen two different categories of drone vertical. how it operates. Now coming Government of India, Director General of Civil Aviation, how they classified the drones. What we have seen is a general classification, but the Government of India has classified the drones with respect of their weight, including the payload. The nano drones, that is less than or equal to 250 grams. Any drones comes under 250 grams is called nano drones. And these drones can be used in academic institutions for the training and research purpose without any permission as an indoor operation. And 250-gram drones as an indoor operation you can use for academic purpose. Maybe in your ground also you can use it. And the weight should be less than 250 gram. And micro drones from 250 gram to 2 kilogram, they have classified as a micro drones. For these micro drones, we need to get DGCA approval if you are operating more than 400 feet. Then come to small, this is come 2 kilogram to 25 kilogram. For small grade, you must go through all the formalities procedure with Government of India, especially with the DGCA and Home Ministry, to get all legal approvals, and then only you can fly whatever the zone. Now Government of India has classified some green zones. You can have a catalog of green zones from Department of Civil Aviation website. In the green zones, even a small categories can be flown with the local by informing the local authorities. Other than green zones, as we don't have any permission to fly without any permission. So next, coming to the medium grade drone, that is 25 kilogram to 150 kilogram, and large greater than 150 kilogram. This medium and large generally comes under defense grade. So as a civilian application, so far nobody is using this fourth and fifth categories of drone. So this is how the Government of India is classified the drones, and what are the drones can be operated in academic institutions without permission, and only nano is allowed, and how the permission need to be obtained. And you can see the Government of India is entertaining and encouraging and brought up the syllabus for remotely piloted aircraft drone pilot courses of 6 months course. Already they started and start giving the training program under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Directorate. So anybody interested to pursue their career in the drone industry, they can go through these courses and they can start work on drone. So they are giving a legal licensing through FTOs, flight training organizations. So this is about the classification done by the Government of India. And I can say this drone market, how in India it evolves. In 2022, we can expect almost nearly 20,000 crores of economy is going to boom, especially in the drone industry, with the application of infrastructure development, agriculture, forestry, etc. And of course, the power sector. So what Government of India's one statistics says is, by coming couple of years, almost 250,000 employment opportunities are going to be created, or on a daily basis it is creating on the drone sector. So it is one of the emerging sector for the application engineers. Now I will play a small video with the DGCA permission. Legally, if you operate the drone, how the SOP will be. So you have seen the operation of drone, how it is operated. If you have to operate very legally, then you need to coordinate with the air traffic controller of any nearby airport, and you need to get all the secret codes to operate each and every flight. This is how legally we should operate the drones in India, and in future it's going to be the same procedure is going to followed by all the industry people who fly the drone. It is going to be very commercial operations like civilian aircraft. So with this, we have covered or we have seen what is a drone and how it is classified, and how it is classified the government of India, and what is the operation procedure given by the government of India. For that, we have seen a small video. I may request if anybody having any doubts or clarification till that, we can open for a discussion for 5 minutes. Else, I can move forward. So may I have any questions?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please.
In between the video, it was specified there an alpha angle. Has it something to do with the way of taking images?
No, actually, that the gimbal will take care of the drone operations when, because of the wind or whatever it may be. If any, because of the wind, if drone is having some turbulence, the gimbal below the camera, below the drone and attached with the camera will take care of the alpha, beta, or gamma, whatever the angle variations come. But in the video, what Alpha told is that there's a secret code as given by Civil Aviation and ATC.
Okay, sir.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. So, any other questions? So, can I move to next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, drones in civil engineering. Coming to the subject. In general, in the present day, people are start using the drones for progress monitoring and suitable site selection, site mapping, and general topographic mapping, and stockpile volumetric analysis. And for real estate people, and start using the drones even for their marketing purpose. So these are the few things I have highlighted here, but the drone application in engineering is not limited with this. Very wide application has evolved. That anyway, I am going to show in the presentation during. As you've seen in the video, what is it, how this drone work, and what is the technology and principle level, how generally we do the drone operation and process the data. So the steps are given here. Point number 1, if you have decided to fly the drone a particular site or any construction area, application may be different. The general procedure is you need to do one first flight plan using the open source Google or the base station, the image or Google, everything is integrated with the base station. You so identify your area and put the flight plan. That is the topmost first point we need to take care. Once flight plan is done, the flight plan will be uploaded to drone, so that drone will fly and capture the data. Once data capturing is over, we used to perform aerial triangulation to develop, to stitch the different pieces and parts of the images which is collected by the drone. Once that stitching has happened, then we do some type points analysis. Then we develop bundle block adjustment, then finally the orthophoto, like as you are seeing, the entire photograph of the drone imagery will come. Once the imagery comes, then then you can start doing the working on the imagery for the various application. So this is the simple diagram shows with some figures how we do processing after flying the drone or collecting the data. So this is a technology and principle. I am not going each and every topic very detailed because that will become a teaching remote sensing. So I will just give the glance of how the processing will happen. The next, once the processing happen, what are the outputs we can get out of it? So we can get unclassified loss files, which give the point clouds of each and every corner of the building. What is point clouds? Each and every object on the surface will be created as a point data. So each and every point having X, Y, and Z values. So X, Y is a coordinate, Z is the elevation value. For any engineering projects, elevation is very, very important. So each and every point contains X, Y, Z. That is the last file. And then orthophoto, you will be getting the color orthophoto. It's a bird's eye view that can be utilized for any analysis and developing the geospatial data. And DTM, that is digital terrain model, bald earth terrain model, eliminating all the surface features like tree, building, whatever available, we can eliminate, and only we are going to give the plain earth surface, or how the earth is undulated without the surface. That is called a terrain model. Surface model, if you add all the feature on the terrain, then that is called a surface model. So in the surface model, terrain will be, if it is undulating terrain, it will show as it is. And also we can show what are the other features available on the terrain. Then 3D mesh model. You can develop entire 3D, as I told, the oblique cameras utilization is to develop such kind of 3D models. Then we can develop some statics, that is accuracy level, how when the conventional survey accuracy comes, how using the LiDAR or drone survey accuracy comes. Then 2D topo maps can be developed for further analysis and processing. So these are the deliverables what we can achieve as an industrial grade drone for our day-to-day engineering applications. So this is another video showing after how the 3D model can be developed. After developing a 3D model, how the measurements can be done. Maybe to develop this video, I have done all manual measurements, but generally the manual measurements is not required. For our understanding, we have developed this video, but all the measurements will be automatically done by the software, and whatever the data we want, we can get it from the software. But for the presentation point of view, we have just shown how the measurements can be done after the survey is completed. Now we can see there is a one small area where this canal is going to be a widen up, or this canal have to be restructured, or some flyover construction they have planning. For that, initially they need to plan what are the encroachments activities are there, and how they have to plan what is the current status of particular area is in terms of linear. See, now there is measurement is happening, so you can measure the distance as well as the height difference also will come. If there is a slope, what is the starting height, what is the ending height, then what is the slope difference. It means a height difference also we can measure. So any project, the initial DPR, detailed project report, generally the government will develop. The mostly engineers will develop, civil engineers will develop. So for them, this technology is very complementing, so that by sitting in the lab, they can estimate everything. And also the visual representation they can present to administrative officers. This is the one of the 3D model developed in Cochin. You can see the couple of areas are inaccessible areas. We even cannot reach to that particular areas and measure physically what is the height, what is the width and all. So this technology gives opportunity to access the inaccessible areas. So in the some of the construction sites, there is some sand dump or some blue metal dumps will be there. If anybody asks you what is how much cubic meter of material is dumped there, so you no need to look after the bills and all the things. Just we have a data, just put on polygon, then you can see in the measurements window, it will give the area perimeter. Area is 52.63. So cut volume is 27.63 cubic meter. And what is the fill volume? So such kind of measurements, volume measurements we can do. So this is on metro rail construction. So this metro rail construction also monitored by drone technology. Periodic flying of the drone and what is the status of the construction activities and what is the material. Even the using the drone technology, we can even do entire material management of any construction industry. So that's a video representation of how this 3D models of the drone images developed out of oblique images is very much helpful in any construction industry. And what are the measurements we can do? What I'm showing is very limited version, and there are a lot of things can be done out of the 3D model which we have developed. In generally, the construction monitoring, what are the ways people are using drones right now? One is a pre-planning. So any construction site can be pre-planned and reporting to the customers and identifying safety concerns. Safety is in the top priority of any construction in industry, and tracking the progress and identifying the potential problems. This is a very, very important thing. Tracking progress of any construction at any given time. For that, I can run another video. I hope my video is visible. I have changed the presentation mode and I have running the video here. If anybody is not visible, if you are unable to see the video, let me know. Otherwise, just follow. So this video representing construction monitoring, we have developed application how any building construction can be monitored using a drone technology. You can see left side, there is on L&T's site, actually it is in under construction. So periodically, maybe of every 3 months, we fly the drone and we develop such a 3D models. And versus you can see right side, that's a diagram, as-built diagram is developed, any CAD files that we have projected in a 3D, and that is how the final construction of the building is going to be. And now you can see only this much construction is completed, and what is the yet to complete construction. So now only this much construction is completed. This is not just a visual representation where all the measurements will be available in a dashboard. So at any given time, if you see a status dashboard, what is the level of floor has completed, and what is the height the construction has come across, and what is the width, and what is the material management, how much material available in the site, and what is the milestone has targeted, what is how the construction is going versus the milestone we have planned. So and also the visual representation. Maybe the construction owner or investor is sitting in some other country or some other place. So every 3 months, this construction monitoring system is representing to him to understand, visually understand the status. So this is very fast growing technology in the civil construction industry of the construction monitoring using the drone and other APIs, application development in the geospatial server platform. So SenseImage has committed to do field to finish. That's our concept, providing solutions to the industry. We start from the survey, and then we finish it with the web applications where the administrators, in a single click, they can see the status and they can develop the application over there. So tracking the progress and identifying the potential problems is very, very important in the day-to-day construction industry. So for that, we are developing a 3D orthomosaic, which can be used for all above purposes what we have been discussing and discussed. So the stockpile measurements, anyway, we have seen. So these are couple of points I need to bring it here, how the civil engineers can, those who are pursuing in the construction industry can make use of the technology and apply in your day-to-day activities. So this is one of the case study or a dashboard we have developed out of the video which you have seen right now. The construction monitoring, this is for the Amravati, the capital region was developed. And right now the different phase of work is going on. There are a lot of changes in Amravati, but this is developed a couple of years back actually. This dashboard will represent you what is the status of each and every building construction. And once you click the construction, and you can see the visual treat of or visual verification of the each and every building, and also you can do measurements, line, polygon, area measurements you can do, or if you want to add something, you can add using this dashboard. Apart from that, any sales availability, sales stock, any real estate owners can make use of this technology, and they can also build such kind of dashboards for their day-to-day business. So this infrastructure industry with this drone technology is booming like anything, and it will be expected in 2022 more than 100 million revenue will be going to add in the infrastructure industry along with the drone, and there are plenty of employment opportunities is going to come up in the infrastructure industry. So the couple of the things, this highway, roads, bridges, and housing will take a lead in the usage of drones. That's what a couple of PwC studies represents in government. So these are some of the statistics representation. So so whatever now we are seeing is initially I told that we started with the passive sensor. That is natural. It uses the natural light and develop all the 3D models, all those things. So far, what we have seen is respect to passive sensor mounted in the drone, and what are the things we can develop. Now we are moving to a very advanced technology that is called a LiDAR. So before moving it, in the 3D models, passive and construction, if you have any doubts or classification or any clarification required, let us take a 5 minutes and discuss, and then we'll move forward. So may I have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Whilst you were telling about the rules and because while using these drones, it should be a serious matter. No? Now in Flipkart and all, I have seen drones available for.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Sir, in Flipkart and all, we have I have seen that drones. It's locally means they are supplying it. No, so won't that people can take these to some? They can use
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, that is totally illegal activity in India. That's online activities and all. Government of India is not encouraging. If you get caught with any police or something, then severe action they will take. Without permission, flying drones is illegal in India. So don't get burn your fingers by buying the drones in online or all. That is not encourageable.
Okay, sir.
So regarding the precision of the measurements that we get through the drone, are they precise enough to be used?
Yes, this is the engineering grade, a very good question, and the accuracy standpoint point of view, which I have not told you. Generally, using this kind of drone, we get 5 to 10 centimeter XY positional accuracy and 15 up to 15 centimeter of vertical accuracy. In couple of projects, in civil projects, that accuracy is sufficient. But most of the projects like metro rail construction, for speed rail construction, are require millimeter level accuracy. Even I can say less than 3 centimeter accuracy is required. So for that only we are introducing this LiDAR technology. So accuracy point of view, since we are using the industrial grade drones and the sensors are very precise, it's serving the purpose of civil engineering demand, accuracy demand. Yeah, good question. So any other question may I expect? Okay, then I will move forward. So to moving forward, as I will move forward from the last previous question as asked, accuracy, whatever we are doing with the passive sensor can give only 10 to 15 centimeter of vertical accuracy. But civil engineers point of view, they demand millimeter level accuracy. So what to do? Then next technology has evolved. That is called light detection and ranging. It's a LiDAR technology. This is the active sensor. What it does is it sends its own light which is emitted from the sensor. It goes and hits on the ground or any object on the ground and returns to the sensor. That pulses will be recorded. One can ask, what is the time duration to hit and come back? I can say in a fraction of a second, 3 lakh pulses will hit and come back. So now you imagine how accurate data we are capturing using the LiDAR technology. This is the small video representation, how LIDAR works. So this is how LIDAR works. It sends its light and the emission is recorded, and the entire site or building or any activity will be scanned on the computer. So we get high accurate, precise readings in terms of XYZ. And what is the accuracy status? Here is down to 3 centimeter. Vertical accuracy we can achieve, and positional accuracy will be 1 or 2 centimeters. So it is good enough for any project. So this is another video how the LiDAR technology is used by the infrastructure projects by one of the project we have done with the Kerala government. So that is how the point cloud data will be captured using the drone. So in the procedure, we fly a smaller drone for a recce survey and see what is the any disturbances there in the air for a particular height, any high-rise buildings are there or any towers are there. All the safety point of view, we do the recce survey, From then we fly a general LiDAR payload drone, so that capture the data and develop detailed database. Like what you are seeing is the LiDAR in road infrastructure. The data collected by LiDAR technology is very comprehensive, so that whatever end-to-end data collection, and as an engineer revisiting the site for any measurement after survey is not required. And this technology gives a visual representation of photos, point clouds, and everything. So once the survey is over, for the planning purpose, again going to the field is not at all necessary. And this system provides designers with a complete picture of the project with accurate point measurements and the ability to locate features that may be inaccessible or missed with other method, such as clearance of height of high tension electricity cables. We may not know where are the cables are there, and any features in generally during the conventional survey we miss out. And to collect the miss out features, we need to go back to the site. But here, once the survey is over, for anything you no need to go back to the site. Everything you can visually see and we can correct in the system. And moreover, the very important thing is survey time. For any project, for the civil engineering surveys, in general, the conventional survey take long time. 1,000 kilometer road project, it may take 3 to 4 months to complete the survey. Whereas here, 3 weeks is sufficient to complete the survey. And after 3 weeks, maybe a couple of weeks, we can produce the entire results as end-to-end to the department for the future application or planning. So that is the potential of this technology right now. Whatever you are seeing is one of the LiDAR project. After the project, how the entire road infrastructure have been mapped and developed in AutoCAD drawing. That's what you are seeing here. And coming to road maintenance, this is very, very important point, and most of the time we missing. So after construction of the road or laying the road, the maintenance is very, very important. Why the maintenance is required? Continuous movement of heavy vehicles, rain, and other factors. So the roads mapping through LiDAR technology, the damage of road pavements can be identified, which generally happen in several, generally it leads to accidents in the road. So periodic monitoring of the road is a top priority of any infrastructure projects. So to avoid such kind of damages, we need to implement continuous monitoring and maintenance of the road pavements. For that, this LiDAR technology, the mobile LiDAR technology, this is can be used in the drones as well as it can be mounted on the vehicle, and we can do monitoring. So why the LiDAR comes very important is of its accuracy and the density of point clouds it gives. So the detailing is very, very high. So these scanned data are further analyzed to generate road pavement profile along with the crack patterns and road markings. Wherever cracks are there, you can identify, you can study the crack pattern and take probable measures and suitable applications you can implement there. So using the LiDAR technology, the authorities can save more time and cost incurring in the process otherwise. Generally what happen, if some periodically they will give a new roads. So periodic spending on the monitoring using such kind of LiDAR technology will save your money. Wherever the problem starts, immediately you can arrest and the further problem can be avoided and road accident can be avoided. So this is another vertical where the infrastructure industry is predominantly focusing on making use of the LiDAR technology in road maintenance work. So after construction, the maintenance part comes. In maintenance also, the advanced technologies should be used to avoid damages. So in general, we are talking on the technology, why we need to move on drone, mobile, LiDAR and sensors, because there are some challenges in using a conventional surveying techniques. One is the speed, the time-bound nature of the projects, so that conventional survey will take a longer time than modern survey techniques. So when we talk about the modern survey, let me give you another input here. There are a lot of faculties are in this session. For your information, all the state, the land records and the revenue department, surveying and land record department is coming up with the modern survey to do a resurvey of entire state. So this opportunity is now hot of the talk in the industry because it demands each and every district more than 150 surveyors, civil surveyors is demanded for such kind of work. So there are plenty of openings is going to come up in the modernization process of the survey and land records. So how we can do this big volume of survey conventional, only having a conventional is not possible. It will take at least 20 years to complete entire India. So adopting the modern technology, adopting the modern survey techniques is a very, very crucial and important decision as the government of India has taken, and they allowed drone technology to do the resurvey of entire country. So that is another vertical, the plenty of opportunities coming up, and already you must be knowing it under the Swamita scheme. There are 1 lakh villages already the surveying activity is going on using the drone. So imagine the entire country need to be surveyed. So pursuing our career in this drone technology is for another 10 to 15 years will save our career opportunity. So, and then accuracy matters. All the civil engineering applications, accuracy is a high demand. For that, to achieve this accuracy, of course, conventional survey gives a more accurate, but versus the speed and time, modern survey is acceptable. Then reusability. Once the data is collected, you can reuse whenever you want. The repeat survey may not require. And then flexibility, then transparency. A very important thing is transparency. Once you acquire a data, it brings a lot of transparency. You can visually see what's happening. If any encroachment activity has happened in the urban, the illegal construction happening, by doing the drone survey, visually you can bring out where the illegal activity is happening. So the transparency is a very big thing where this modern survey techniques are bringing in. So these are a couple of the limitations in conventional that the modern survey is overcoming. Of course, in modern survey also there are some limitations. So that is why generally what we prefer is it's a complementing each other. So we always do any project, we start with conventional and later we adapt the modern survey and then we deliver with the web application. So it is a combination of technology is the right approach for any civil engineering projects. That I wanted to record here very strongly. And then cost effectiveness. The traditional survey results the escalation of cost due to increase in labor. Now I told per district 150 resources required, whereas if you go conventional, 1000 resources are required. 1000 people survey only each and every village boundaries can be marked and bring all the data. So it increase the labor, the conventional survey. So that we need to adapt the modern survey to control the cost effectiveness. So these are a couple of the challenges faced by conventional, so that to overcome why we need to adapt the modern survey for the justified points. So another vertical is the mining and energy vertical. In the mining, we can use the thermal imaging where terrain mapping and change detection can be analyzed. site monitoring, volume calculation. In mining also, there is a lot of infrastructure development was happening. And then inspecting the pipelines. That's another big vertical, and inspecting the pipeline construction. That's another vertical is booming in India. So mining also another fast moving, growing sector where this advanced surveying techniques. I can give a small example. Right now, if you say any bigger mines, there are some civil surveyors are available. So one example I can give, take lignite mines, which is available in Neyveli in Tamil Nadu, where 15 days they do the survey to estimate how much the contractors has excavated the raw material. After 15 days, they give the report, this much of volume has, cubic meter volume has excavated. Then another 15 days, they do all the paperwork. Then after a month only the payment will be released. Now adapting the modern survey techniques, you no need to wait for a month. In a week, you can close all the process. Survey one day, the survey can be completed. Next to 2 days, the data can be delivered. And 3 days administrative work will complete. The entire process will complete in a week. That is how the modern surveying techniques is evolved and giving advantage to the engineers who are performing in the field. So another sector is energy, as I told. Now there are a lot of dam construction is happening, and there are a lot of flood mapping, especially in Kerala kind of thing. Frequently flood is happening. So in the downstream, now there are a lot of projects is on to validate the terrain and recommend the suitable civil structures to arrest the flood during the heavy rain and all. So this technology brings accurate terrain mapping where you can take a decision in the downstream area, what are the measures need to be taken during the flood, and what are the infrastructure we need to develop before the flood comes. Such kind of decision making can be taken by using such kind of modern technologies. And another vertical we can focus on the evolving is solar panels inspection and suitable solar panel site selection to establish the solar plant, and then windmill and power line sectors and inspection of thermal industry. So these are the another vertical where the drone is start its own application and giving a very good fruit of technology transfer. So with that, how the LiDAR technology used and all those things has been completed. If anybody have any clarifications or questions in LiDAR technology or any other things we have discussed so far from the starting, let me take 5 minutes or a couple of minutes to answer. Otherwise, I will move on the couple of case studies before closing my presentation. So, if any questions, please.
Participants, please. Participants,
Sir,
please feel free to
in LiDAR equipments, is it take still photos or video?
Generally, if we use RGB sensor, which I have covered in the starting of the presentation, that I also called as a passive sensor, it takes generally still photographs, but the still photographs are geo-referenced, means geo-tagged, so that only we can develop our X, Y, Z, everything. And most of the time, what you seeing in drones are not geo-tagged. It give only videos and still photographs, that is not geo-tagged. That we never call it as engineering grade. So what we use also take photographs, but that is geotagged. Okay. And the LiDAR technology, it is point cloud. It won't give any photographs.
Okay, sir. Then, sir, what about the range of LiDAR equipments?
Correct. It's a very good question, actually. Where from I can cover this? What is the range I should operate LiDAR? There are three classification we can make. One is Up to 60 meter, from the 60 meter, there are three various LiDAR channels, or there 16 channel, 32 channel, and more than 32 channels. So if it is a 16 channel, you should operate only at the height of 40 to 60 meter, and 40 meter is very ideal. And if you go 60 meter, there are a lot of distraction will happen. So the point cloud density will be less. If you want to go some of the high-rise dense urban areas, you can fly, you have to fly at 120 meter. That time you need to use 32 channel LiDAR so that your height can be increased. After that, another classification, manned aircraft, we use LiDAR, that more than 32 channels we use, that can be mounted in manned aircraft, will be flown from 500 meter or more than, or 600 meters. So there are three classifications. Depends on your application, you need to choose the sensor and you need to operate. In general, what we are doing is we are using the mid-range, that is 32 channel, so that up to 150 meter, we can fly and collect very good point clouds. More than that, if I go, my point cloud density will be less and there are a lot of distraction, lot of noise will come, then data quality will reduce. So ideally, 100 to 120 meter is suitable for the aerial platforms. Another reason why we are ideally keeping is the approval. The more than that, we may not get the approval to fly. So ideally, the 32 channel is good for 120 meter. This is a good question actually. What range? Whereas in the mobile LiDAR, we can mount the car. That range also will give 50 to 60 meter. But only disadvantage is if you are mounting the mobile LiDAR and traveling on the road, whatever the first feature comes where your light will detection will stop. After that, you won't get any information. So aerial platform is not like that. Everything will be captured. So these are the difference. So mobile LiDAR, ideally, though you take a high-end LiDAR also, the limitation is object. If the object is very near available, then the LiDAR will be stopped nearby and only that details you will get. Only this classification suits for aerial LiDAR. For mobile LiDAR, it doesn't matter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good question. So anybody have any clarification? Please ask. Else I will move to a case study. Okay, I will move to a case study. There is a small case study. Now we have talked, we have spoken, and we have discussed a lot on civil applications and all. And these drones can be used even heritage structure and archaeology and tourism. There is a small case study. That's one of the temple in Warangal, where we have created a 3D model of the temple, so that how we can develop a 3D accurate models and we can preserve the architecture what they have developed, and if there is any damage, periodically we can develop this and we identify and we can do the maintenance. So preserving our architecture is very, very important. For that, how the technology is used. So in that case study, we have chosen one temple in Warangal district, and then we developed a 3D model and presented the case. You can see the level of details, and this is not just visual videographs, where we can have all measurements.
I think he's gone for a walk.
This is another level of detailing is captured from the drone. Okay, so after this heritage and archaeology, apart from the civil engineering application, the drone is now widely used in agriculture. What are the applications in agriculture? Of course, irrigation also, again, there is another vertical where the drone technology is contributing heavily for the irrigation sector. And in the agriculture, the spraying activities, it's nowadays very familiar and very famous also, and booming like anything. Um Spraying, what is the benefit of using the drones for spraying? Uniform spray, less usage of pesticides and chemicals, and these chemicals won't reach up to the soil, so soil will be preserved. So there are varieties of case studies we have done on it. It gives a good yield, good results. And also these drones having a multispectrals and hyperspectral cameras, we can validate the health of the plants, the growth of the plant, and chlorophyll content of the plant, and the stress analysis we can do, and then suitable decision can be taken to improvise the um, cultivation process. So crop supervision, crop maintenance is another area. This agriculture is another area where drone technology is very well utilized. So already the couple of governments already start working with the drone in agriculture. These are a couple of the slides how the different various states government departments has initiated the drone technology even a long back from 2017, and now it is evolving much better than past. And forest is another vertical where forest boundary survey is very much challenging in India. So for the surveying the forest boundary, manual operations is very difficult. So where the drones are complementing. There are some of the governments already took initiation for the forest mapping using a drone. This is a small video. Apart from the mapping, there is some inspection also we can do. That inspection can be day or night. So day night cameras we can use to monitor the unauthorized movement in the forest. And even for the animal count, now people are start using the drones. So you can see there is a night time also we have taken, and some daytime also we have taken some of the videos, which is where you can see some elephants and some other things. Even beyond the tree, if it goes and hide beyond the tree also, we can using these thermal sensors, we can see what is happening inside the forest. So this is purely in the inspection point of view, not with any application or civil application. This is just to bring out common applications of a drone in terms of inspection, and power line inspection and oil and gas inspection can be used such kind of with such kind of sensors. Okay. So coming to what are the departments currently maximizing their usage of drone technology. One is the Indian Railway. Most of the projects Indian Railway are presently implementing comes with the drone, and WAPCOS for all flood-related analysis and water irrigation infrastructure. The WAPCOS is utilizing the drones with LiDAR technology. So WebCos is giving a lot of projects with the drone-based LiDAR technology or manned aircraft-based LiDAR technology. And smart cities is another big vertical, is predominantly having a usage of drone for the development of cities. And Amrut cities, that's Atal Mission of Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation Projects. It's a guideline itself given that drone technology only should be used for such kind of projects. And Ministry of Agriculture and the National Highway, you would have seen the recent news of last month. The National Highway Authority make mandatory of using the drones in to monitor all the highway projects. So, and then urban development under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana need to be utilized using the drone technology. And Survey of India now procuring a lot of drones and using for this village mapping. And also this Sagarmala projects, which is implemented across the coastal boundaries, is now implementing drone related applications. So the drone is not limited, it got its own wide applications, and the future survey will adopt the using the modern drone technology. So this is a small glance of how a different departments uses the drone technology and what are the various departments use the drone technology for your understanding. And hello. Okay, so this is a small video I want to run to sum up my presentation.
Oil and gas. Surveillance purpose of oil and gas sites to provide a safer, cost-effective, and quick turnaround of data. Inventory and warehouse. Commercial drones fitted with a barcode scanner camera can enhance the inventory management. Application of precision agriculture. Drones help you make data-driven decisions on the farm. Aerial photographs of the crop and spraying crops. Filming and journalism. The world of media has really using drones to replace as aerial footage provide broadcast, becoming increasingly common, covering large areas quickly. Shipping and delivery. Medical drugs and food order shipping can be done within a span of a few minutes, with drones delivering your packaging with less error and more accuracy. Law enforcement. These can also be used for law enforcement officials for privacy. There are more detailed rules obtained. The drones can also be exposed without the risk of life and danger. Are you thinking about launching a career as a drone entrepreneur? This is why SG.
So with that final video, I will sum up my presentation. So we started with different types of drone and the classification of drone, and then passive and active sensors, and what is the legal formalities we need to go through to operate the drones. And we seen how the drone for a different industries used with the passive sensors. And then we seen a couple of 3D models and their applications in infrastructure projects. Then in accuracy standpoint of view, how the sensor evolved to LiDAR technology and how the LiDAR technology benefits to the infrastructure projects. And other than the infrastructure projects, how drones can be utilized for different applications like inspection and agriculture, all those things. Then even in the last slide, we have seen a drone can be widely used for surveillance and law and order enforcement, oil and gas. There are multiple verticals other than infrastructure projects. This technology can be utilized. So with that note, I will conclude my presentation, though we have enough time to continue. So if you have any clarification, let me open for a discussion.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, please interact with our expert.
Hello, sir.
The session is
Can
open.
you brief the applications of drone in our India, in our nation, specifically?
Yeah, specifically the whatever so far the application we have discussed, and in the last slide, before last slide, I have listed a lot of government departments. Start from Survey of India, WAPCOs, Indian Railways, and telecom, BSNL. So in BSNL also the tower inspection is used by the drone application is there. So these are the departments which already start utilizing the drone technology. So in India, for the civilian application or the projects, infrastructure projects, already drones are open to utilize. But only thing is, it should be very legalized. Apart from that, defense is another vertical of government of India is predominantly going to use the drones. And of course, how they develop, what they do, that we may not aware much, but we are into a application side. So as far as the application concern, almost most of the departments start from irrigation to urban development, here telecom to thermal, power sector, everybody start using the drones. So in the slide also I told the recent studies shows by another 1 or 2 years, more than 2 lakh employment opportunity will be going to be created, especially for the drone vertical. So to enable this employment opportunity, Government of India took initiative to issue the drone pilot licensing through FTOs. So anybody wanted to pursue their career in a drone can join the course, then they can get the certificate, then they can become a certified drone pilot in India. So this is the industry update, and Government of India's policy is happening and in India currently. Hope I have answered.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one more question.
Please.
Regarding the papers published, standard papers that are published related to drone exclusively in civil construction. Is there any?
Actually, since we develop most of the application for the industry and our business point of view. So generally, whatever the R&D we do, we never publish generally, but we present it to the client and we get projects and we get a business. But we are very much interested to collaborate. Even in the introduction, ma'am was mentioned that what is our interest towards academy. We are very much interested to associate with academic institution and share our R&Ds and the commercial R&Ds which we are doing. We are ready to share so that combinedly the papers can be published. We can help it out. But as a company, so far we have not shown any interest to publish the papers. But through academic, for academic, yes, publishing papers are very, very important. So we are ready to collaborate and do some share our R&Ds, and also the academic institute also come up with some ideas, so the combined R&Ds can be published and we can take care that combined R&D results can be commercialized. We are open to that.
Sir, hope I am not disturbing you much with my questions.
No, please,
but
please, I am actually very much interested listening questions. Rather, I'm talking, yeah.
One clarification regarding the various departments that were involved in the drone technology. Are they exclusively concentrating on the LIDAR technology also, or are they just moving through the periphery of the drone technology?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Most of the drone technology, drone companies today evolved, or R&Ds evolved, is building and building a drone. How the drone can be built, and what is the specification, what is the endurance. In such kind of activities, only most of the institutions as well as the commercial companies are involved. Very few companies, even I can even name very few companies. That's one of the companies, our Sense Image, is focusing on the multiple verticals. We are focusing developing a drone, and as well as we are focusing developing sensors and integrating both for the various application. So we have in our organization, we have aeronautical engineer, we have a civil engineer, we have a geologist, we have a remote sensing expert. So it is integration of technology we are providing as a solution to the industry. So if you ask the periphery, most of the people are focusing. The moment you say drone, then they start developing the drone. Okay, I buy a propeller, I buy a machine, I buy a motor and fix it and fly it. That is totally as a hobby. That is excited. Okay, something I have assembled and I am flying. That's what happening even in the academic research right now. But the another step is bring it to the scientific solutions. As with the industrial grade drone, that is very, very important. It's very few are doing, and yes, if any institutes open for that, we are very happy. You are rightly said, there are periphery only happening, but very deep in the industry and scientific approach, very few companies are doing. Even academic institutions. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm expecting more questions so that we can discuss more. That will give good knowledge transfer.
Any more questions? Matthew sir, can we move on to the guys?
Okay, if there is no more questions, you can proceed.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Please.
Sir, what is the main difference between aerial LiDAR and terrestrial LiDAR?
Okay. During the discussion itself, I told aerial LiDAR is the bird's eye view. Terrestrial LiDAR is the mobile application. You can keep the LiDAR on the vehicle and then you can drive your vehicle on the road. So it capture all the terrestrial features like buildings adjacent to the roads and whatever the elevation values along the road. Whereas comes to aerial LiDAR, the concept is same, but it captures the data from the bird's eye view, from the aerial perspective, so that not only it mobile LiDAR only capture what are the features comes first when you are driving your vehicle. It means if I am driving a vehicle near to your house on the road, only the laser will go and hit on the house and come back, only house information and the road information will be recorded. Whereas in the aerial LiDAR, all the features will be recorded because it don't have any limitation, because it hits all the objects from top, so that all the information can be recorded in the aerial LiDAR. So these are the main difference between aerial and mobile lidar. And terrestrial lidars have its own limitations on the features, but aerial lidar, it will capture all the data and it will give all the elevation values. In aerial lidar, what is the limitation is the height, the range. You need to operate, if your sensor white paper says it ranges 100 meter, then you need to operate only at 50 to 60 meter. That's the only limitation in aerial lidar. Otherwise, level of detailings are high in aerial lidar, whereas the terrestrial lidar level of detailing is restricted to the features along the roadside. This is the major difference.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
One, can I ask a question? Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, actually, nowadays there are some restrictions are coming for this using this drone technology, right, sir? I think the restrictions are also getting much more tighter, and it's much more forcible, right, sir? So whether those things are making any difficulties for our using this means drone technology for the engineering purposes and some other useful purposes, whether it is getting affected or how can it be solved out?
Okay, it's a very good question, because since we are talking about legality and we are very serious on permissions, and during my presentation also I told that the procedures to be followed. So obviously the people's mind will think, if that much restriction is there, then how this technology will evolve. But after the Jammu, government of India has taken a very big step. They have reduced a lot of regulations, but only thing what they are expecting is all the operations, drone operations, should be informed operations. If it is a informed operations, government of India don't have any problem. But the problem is unauthorized flying is a problem. So they have made regulations such a way that whoever having the drone in India, kindly register with the DGCA. Point number one. Once you register, there are certain applications DGCA has developed. You install that application in your drone, like NPNT, that is no permission, no takeoff software. That you need to install in your drone, so that whenever you fly the drone, DGCA will get notified and local authorities will get notified that so and so coordinate the drone is flying. So that if that is a no-fly zone, they will immediately recommend you not to fly. Such kind of easing the operation initiation has taken by the government of India. So nothing to worry on the policy side, that they are favoring to the citizen and to encourage the employment opportunity. They are bringing down the regulations, and but only thing is the demand is all the fly should be notified operations. So no need to worry on that. That is well organized, and it is going to be very legal. But only thing is informed operation should be happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your information.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, one question is in the chat box, sir.
Okay, in chat box. So I will stop sharing.
Read the question.
Can you? Chat box.
Sir, shall I read the question?
Yeah. I just opened the chat box. Yeah, you can read it.
The question is, sir, shall we use drones for payment evaluation?
Where payment evaluation means where the payment evaluation? The application where see I told one application where the mining, how the payments have been done based on the excavation and all. Here, what the question mean? Can you please repeat otherwise?
Sir, she says that it is regarding the functional evaluation of payment.
No, I think I have not come across such application. Maybe I will get back.
Sarah, the question is, can it be used for crack length and other distresses evaluation actually? Okay, the participant has asked.
Crack on the road?
It is regarding pavements actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what one slide itself is there. That's
Oh.
LiDAR technology, how we can validate the cracks. Yes, it is possible
LiDAR,
using LiDAR.
can be done using
Even in the buildings also nowadays, the LiDAR technology is used to identify the wall cracks and health of the building. Even in the construction side, they are scanning and developing the indoor construction monitoring. Yes, the wide application we can make use of the drone-based LiDAR technologies or terrestrial LiDARs.
Sir, can you please switch on your video for a screenshot?
Okay, 1 second. I'm sorry. So is it fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Since I'm not in office.
We are very grateful to you for managing this crisis actually. Okay.
Yeah, no problem, sir. It should be, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
HOD sir, can we move on to the vote of thanks now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Please move on. Please move on.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Let me welcome Professor Jareen Ann for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Bindya ma'am. A very good morning to everyone. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Jareen Ann Thomas, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, express my sincere thanks to Engineer Nishad S., Director, Sense Image Technologies, Private Limited, Chennai, for giving an excellent coverage on the topic drones and its application in civil infrastructure projects. Sir, we are very grateful to you for taking out the time out of your busy schedule. Sir shared his expertise in geoinformation technology, especially in drone surveying and mapping and remote sensing. Sir started the session explaining what a drone is and the classification of drones. Sir had outlined basic classifications, one based on the general classification and the second one based on the classification by the government. The basic classification were multi-rotor drones, which are generally operated as helicopters, fixed wing drones operated like an aircraft, a single rotor helicopter, and the fixed wing hybrid V2L. Also, sir had mentioned about the classification as per the DGCA Government of India, which is classified as nano drones, micro drones, small drones, medium drones, and large drones. Sir has also shown us in a video an aerial survey execution which was done. Sir also explained, following the sessions, Sir also explained the applications in the civil engineering works, which were broadly classified as the used for progress and monitoring, used for site mapping, which is used for topographic maps and stockpiler volumetry, and also how it is being used in marketing. Then Sir moved on to the technology and the principle of drone. Sir explained the technology and the principle as flight plan, which we use in Google or a total base station. And when it is later further uploaded to the drone and done aerial triangulation, the tie point analysis, orthophoto, and how the bundle block adjustment was done the last. Sir also explained later what are the various outputs and deliverables that we have. A few to name: the unclassified LAS files, the orthophoto, which gives a bird's view, the DTM, the digital terrain model, the digital surface model, the 2D topo maps. Following which, Sir had shown us a video regarding the 3D mesh model video, which was developed in Kochi, and Sir rightly pointed out how we could access the inaccessible points through the drone technology. How in that video, Sir had explained how through the canal, the measurements and the distance as well as the volumetric calculations were done. Also, Sir later went on to the detailed applications in the civil industry and the general industry, wherein the civil industry, Sir had mentioned about the construction industry, where it was used for the pre-planning stage for identifying the safety concerns and how we were able to identify and track the progress of the work. Sir had shown a video regarding how we could identify whether the progress was done as per the milestone plan. Also, Sir had explained how we can use it to create the 3D and orthomosaic maps. Sir throughout had maintained the session very interesting by showing live demonstrations of his work. Later on, Sir moved on to the LiDAR technology and how it was implemented in the infrastructure projects, and how Sir had explained that with the implementation of the drone technology, we are no more required to go to the site for the measurements, which helps the engineers in saving their time and the ability to locate the points which are inaccessible, such as, and also how we can obtain the clearance height, especially of a high tension electric cable. Sir also mentioned on how we can use the LiDAR technology in the road infrastructure and maintenance, wherein Sir mentioned how we can analyze the data to find out the road pavement along with the crack patterns and the road markings. Following which, Sir had moved on to the section wherein drone technology was used in mining and energy application. Sir explained how this sector is very much growing, and it is where it is used for thermal mapping, site monitoring, volume calculation, and for the infrastructure and equipment inspection. The power generation was the next sector where Sir had explained, explained how it is used and for the various power generation to validate the terrain, and how during a flood we can use this technology to monitor which structure is to be constructed. Later on, Sir had also mentioned about how it is used in thermal plants, windmills, and solar panels. Sir also had explained what are some of the challenges which are faced by the conventional technologies and why it is necessary to move on to the modern technologies due to the problems in speed, accuracy, flexibility, cost effectiveness. Following which, Sir had conducted a case study of a temple wherein a 3D model was developed to preserve the architecture and for maintenance. So we can understand from this that it is also used in the heritage structure, archaeology, and the tourism department. Later on, Sir had come on to the applications of drone technology in general, as in the agriculture field, where we are able to understand or monitor the growth of the plants and find out what maintenance has to be done. Later on, the class went on to how we can monitor the activities in the forest areas, how we can assess the encroachment of the forest areas, and how we are able to model a 3D mapping of the forest area. Last, sir had moved on to how or which all departments are using which all government sections are using the drone technology. A few to name: the Indian Railways, the WAPCOs for the flood-related works, smart city projects for the development of cities, the Amrut Technologies, the National Highway Authorities to monitor highway projects, and a few more. Then Sir had ended the session with a video for the drone section. Sir, your presentation was very interesting, sir, and you drew the audience in and held the attention of the audience throughout. Thank you very much, sir, on behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Surin. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Disha, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. And also thank you for all the participants who have patiently listened, and those who asked the questions. I'm really very happy. And there are very valid questions that came up. And thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. Thank you, sir. So may I close?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, sir. Okay, bye.